causes of whole home fires, because the wires are within your walls, and when they start heating up, they heat up the wood around the wires and the walls, and they start to burn the holes. So that's why this is really dangerous. You may not be able to see the damage within the wall, but you can almost always smell it. So that would be a situation in which you would kill the main circuit breaker in your home, prevent all the electricity from running through your home, and diagnose the problem further.
What would the smell be like?
It would be metallic-y and rubber. Like, have you ever smelled when someone screeches on their tires? It's got that really nasty smell. That's usually what the electric smell will be like, because the rubber on the ends of the wires will start to burn. So that's the smell you should be looking out for.
Okay, so, hello? I just say I'm really quiet. Okay. So one thing that you should never do is leave an unattended flame in your home. So don't leave your stove on unattended, because methane comes from the stoves, and if methane fills your house enough and there is any spark in your home will potentially ignite and it will explode. So it's always important to keep your windows open to let all the gases out, so that you could prevent that situation also.
So this is an example of a methane fire in a home. So as you can see, with the windows completely sealed and everything sealed, the house literally explodes and the roof buckles and everything bursts into flame. Had the windows been open, it does one of two things. The first thing it does is it allows the gas to escape, because the gas wants to leave. That's its main goal. It also allows pressure within the home to leave through the window. So if there is an explosion, the goal is to get the explosion out the window so it doesn't damage your home. Explosions damage your home when they have nowhere to go. So they push the walls aside and they blow everything apart. This is an example of when a water pipe ruptures. Flooding can occur in your home or on the street. Just the other day on the news, in fact, 16-inch water main, somewhere in San Francisco, I believe, burst, flooding basically the entire street. So this is an example of why water is dangerous. When water floods into the homes, it causes a lot of damage because homes are made of wood, and wood is not very resistant to water. It rots, gets fungus, you get termites, all kinds of pesky problems. So when you ever see a water leak, you should shut off the main water valve, if you can. Sinks and bathtubs and all showers and things like that have their own little shut-off valve. So if your faucets or whatnot are leaking, you should shut this valve off first. And the reason you want to shut this valve off instead of the main valve is because you don't want to create a pressure buildup within the homes in your pipes within your home. Sorry, that can cause further damage. So it's easier to just shut this one off, and that way you also have water to the rest of your home.
So in the face of an emergency, you need many supplies in case something could happen. So it's always important to keep inside a box a can opener, canned foods, and a cell phone. Hopefully one that's an older model, so that it's more, it's stronger, and unlike iPhones that can, you drop them on cement and they instantly just crack into like a million pieces. So it's good to have a lot of food, an old cell phone, a can opener, within a box, and you want to keep it somewhere near your house, but not exactly in your house, because if an emergency does occur, you should have a location within your neighborhood where all the neighbors would gather, and you would want to keep it near there. So just in case an emergency does occur, you have all your emergency supplies. So this is a file of life. It's basically a card that contains all of your basic information, so that in case an emergency does occur, if you do not remember who you are, you have this card to refer to, so that if someone asks you who you are or where you live, in case you're not at home, you can give them this card, show them this card, and they will help you, and maybe it'll help you also remember if you forget yourself. We'll be passing these out later during the presentation. So in an earthquake, many things can happen. You could be anywhere in your house, and you need to have an escape route for many rooms, because windows might be blocked, doors might collapse. So you need multiple ways to get out of your home, through the living room, through the bathroom, through the kitchen. And then after you do escape your home through one of the multiple ways that you've created for yourself, you would want to meet at a spot with the rest of your neighborhood so that you could be stronger in numbers, share supplies, and maybe help anyone that's missing.
So the most common place to escape from a home is a window, and many people don't actually know how to remove the screens from their windows, which really is a problem. So on most windows, you have a black tab where the screen is. So have you ever seen the little black tab? Right, so what you do, first thing you do is you want to pull on those black tabs. After you've pulled on the black tabs, you want to push the window away from the screen and eventually drop the window screen out and then get out the window. If your window doesn't cooperate, which sometimes does occur, the best thing to do is actually just find your best to push the window away. And if windows are sticky, it might be nice to figure out why they're sticky and fix them, because in case of an emergency, you don't want to be fighting with the screen. You want to get out quickly and efficiently. So this is an example of a floor plan of a home. So as you can see, there are multiple windows, one here, one over here, at each bathroom, bedroom, and some office. So if you were in the kitchen, for example, and the quickest way to get out would obviously be through this window. But during an earthquake, that window may not be there, or there may be a lot of debris blocking it. So alternative routes out could be through here to the front door. You could go through a door to this room and get out of a window in this room. Or you could take a longer route, get to this window and come out. So it's always important to know different ways of getting in and around your home and getting out, because certain areas might be blocked off. So to prevent an earthquake from occurring, you can fasten certain appliances so they don't fall over. So for example, this is a flat screen TV. Now flat screen TVs are really heavy, and they're made of glass, which makes them potentially dangerous when they fall over. So the best thing to do is to strap them down like so. As you can see here, there's a pin in the wall and a rope that supports this side and this side. And what that prevents is the TV is allowed to rock, but not allowed to fall over. Another common mistake people make is they think they can just stick screws on the wall at any location. That's actually not true, because walls like these are made of drywall, which is very weak. But underneath the drywall are wooden studs. And every 16 inches, there's a 2x4 piece of wood that runs vertically straight down. Those are the things you want to screw into. If you just screw into the drywall and it falls, the screw will rip right out. No problem. But if you screw into the stud, it's going nowhere. And these are some common brackets you can buy at any hardware store to anchor bookshelves, to anchor cabinets. And another neat trick you can do is put all your heavy items that you keep in shelving units at the bottom. It does one of two things. The first thing it does is it keeps the shelving units bottom heavy, which means it's harder for them to fall over in the event of an earthquake. The second thing it does is it prevents injury. If they're at the bottom, the heavy objects have less distance to go, which means they're less likely to hurt someone. If a light object falls on you, it's a lot better than if a heavy textbook falls on you.
So when an earthquake does occur, what you want to do is stay away from doorways, because those can collapse pretty easily. And if you are near a table, what you want to do is get under the table and put your arms over your head to protect yourself.
The myth with door jams is actually a very interesting story. Before they had wooden homes in California, they had brick homes, adobe homes. And after an earthquake, they noticed that the wooden door jams would stay up while all the brick fell away. So that led to this idea that you stand under the door jam, you're safe. But nowadays, the entire home is made of wood. And in fact, door jams are one of the weakest spots within your homes, because they're very lightly anchored to these wooden struts that they can easily topple, which means they're actually quite dangerous in an earthquake. And if you're standing under one of them, you can actually get hurt by them. So, after the earthquake is over, you want to make sure you're okay, check for any injuries on yourself, and then get out. If your pet is stranded in the home, I know it's heartbreaking, but you shouldn't go for the pet. You want to take care of yourself first and hope that the first responders get enough time to get into your house and rescue your pet. Which is another reason to detailedly know your escape route. Because when the first responders get there, you can tell them, this is the quickest way into my home, into this room. If you can't get through there, there's another way to get there. So the escape route helps before and after. It allows you to get out and allows first responders to get in and quickly save anyone who is missing and still within the home. So now we're moving on to household fires. The most important thing that you could possibly ever have in your home is a smoke alarm. Smoke alarms tell you when there's a fire because of the smoke generated. Fire alarms like these use batteries, and batteries run out. So that annoying beeping sound you hear is telling you to recharge your batteries. It's important to have these smoke alarms because when you're asleep, or you're in the shower or something, you can't really smell the smoke, even if it's small trace amounts. The smoke alarm, on the other hand, can. It can detect it and tell you to get out. Another important thing to have is a fire extinguisher. Most homes do not have a fire extinguisher. Some do. If you don't have one, it's strongly recommended you get one. They're not that expensive. For example, this one cost about $25. Not that expensive. Yeah. There's a little valve over here that will say full or empty. So, for example, in this one, it's on the green right now, which says it's completely full. But when I use it, it can go to a marker that says 0, which will say to recharge. So if you go to your hardware store, they can actually put the repellent back in the can. So you don't actually have to buy another one. You can go to Home Depot, Lowe's. Dale, yeah, Dale will do it. Some places will in fact tell you to leave the can there, and they'll give you another can. But it's basically the same thing. So you don't have to go and buy another one, which saves you a lot of money, because they can be expensive. Now, this fire extinguisher doesn't have a hose, but that's okay. It doesn't matter whether or not it has a hose. The hose just allows you to be more accurate with where you're spraying. But if you don't have one with a hose, the easiest thing to do is just aim and shoot. So, idea is that to hold the can in your non-dominant hand. So, for example, I'm right-handed, so I would hold the can in my left hand. And it's important to have a firm grip on the can, because the stuff inside here is under a lot of pressure. So when it does come shooting out, it's kind of like a gun, it will recoil on you. So if you're not holding it strong enough, it can actually hit you in the chest. And there have been many cases when that's actually happened, where someone's used a fire extinguisher, only held the top, and went right into their chest, cracked their sternum. So it's very important that your non-dominant hand holds the can really securely. A lot of fire extinguishers have a piece of tape that goes across them that keeps this lever in place. So when you want to use the can, you just rip this off, you pull this lever back, you hold it like that, and this top lever will then unlock, and this is what you actually press to shoot the propellant. And the idea is to go slow and steady. If you go too quickly, you may not get enough propellant over the flames to put them out. So what you want to do is you want to hold it steady, kind of like a gardening hose when you're watering flowers, and slowly go across. That way you make sure you get enough propellant on the flames to put them out.
So when a fire does occur in your home, one thing that could happen is your doorknob, since it's made of metal, it could overheat. So one way you want to address this situation is by not directly just grabbing onto the doorknob to see whether it's hot or not. What you want to do is you want to just hover the back of your hand over the doorknob to see whether it's radiating heat or not. And then if it is, what you would do is you would get any sort of wet fabric, and you would just put the wet fabric onto the doorknob, twist it, and then escape. But never just use the palm of your hand to touch it, because the palm of your hand actually has, I think, the most nerves in your body, so it is very sensitive and it will hurt a lot.
Another reason to have wet fabric is so that you don't inhale the fumes. Smoke fumes tend to be light, and they can't get past water or anything moist. So if you have fabric, try to wet it any way you can. Lotion works great, water obviously works great. If you're in your bedroom, you obviously may not have access to water, so lotion, saliva if you have to. Anything that's moist will work for the most part.
So when a fire does occur, it's important to leave the house as quick as you can. It would be helpful to also assist others out, but if it's too much of a trouble, I think you should definitely wait for the firefighters, because rather than risking maybe injuring or killing yourself by trying to save someone, you should wait for the firefighters to come so that you could tell them all the information about where everyone is, so that they can go in and save them probably more effectively than you could. And it's also important that you tell the firefighter all the information of where everyone would be located, just in case they are still in the house, so that they can go in and save them, and just any information that they might need to know.
So most fires in homes can be prevented. Those big fires usually occur from smaller fires. The two most common fires in your home are grease fires and gasoline fires. Grease fires are the kind you get in the kitchen. You're cooking, pan gets hot, you've got grease in there from the vegetables, the meat, it catches on fire. The most common mistake that people do is they fill it with water. Do not fill it with water. Grease is light and will actually float on the water. Have you ever seen, maybe you guys saw the Gulf oil spill, when the oil was sitting on top of the water and they were burning it? Same idea. That's what's going on here. When you put water in it, all you're doing is spreading it, because it takes it with it. It's like a boat on the sea, and that can cause even more damage to your home. The best thing to do with a grease fire is to smother it. Close the lid, turn the gas off, and wait. That's the best thing you can do. This is a gasoline fire. Gasoline fires most commonly occur in a garage or any area where the car is located. Gasoline fires are nasty. They produce a lot of soot, and they spread very quickly. So the thing to do with gasoline fires is to put them out quickly. Now, gasoline can spread and burn at the same time, which makes it potentially dangerous. So the thing to do is to put a trail that blocks fire from going. Something that works really great is baking soda. So put a line of baking soda to prevent it from getting into your home, and then smother it and put it out with a fire extinguisher. Smothering works great for all fires, no matter what. Get a big blanket of some sort, and throw it on there. If you have a lot of gasoline, you might want to go straight to the fire extinguisher, because whatever you use to smother it may soak up the gasoline and start burning itself. So it's always a good idea for small fires to smother, and for larger fires like this one, for example, to use the fire extinguisher. Another trick is to elevate all furnaces, dryers, and water heaters 15 inches above the ground. Gasoline readily evaporates, but the fumes are very heavy, which means that the fumes stay close to the ground. Appliances like dryers, water heaters, and furnaces have little pilot lights underneath them to keep them warm. And what that does is ignites gasoline fumes. So I don't know if you guys have seen the water heaters in your home where they're somewhat elevated. Right, that's the reason for it. Nowadays, furnaces and dryers are also elevated. So elevating them helps prevent this from happening. So if there is a gasoline spill, you just want to clean it up quickly, and then if it does catch on fire, quickly smother it and put it out with fire extinguisher. So now I'm going to go over the first aid kit stuff. So in the first aid kit, when you open it, is some of them will come with a manual, like so, which tells you what to do in certain situations. The field kit that we gave you is a starter kit. It doesn't have a manual, but we will be going over the basic demonstrations for how to treat lacerations and sprains and breaks. So in this kit, first thing we have here is an elastic band. Now elastic bands are used for two purposes. The first purpose is to create a casting if you have a sprain or a break to support the part of the body that is broken. Another thing it's used to do is to help stop bleeding. If someone has a major laceration, for example on their leg, the thing to do is to tie this really tightly across the leg near the heart. So for example, if I had a cut here, I would tie the band above my knee really tightly. And what that does is it helps prevent excess blood from getting to the wound and then bleeding out. Plastic gloves, latex gloves, are also very important because you don't want to infect the person more than they already are infected, or infect yourself. Because you may have cuts and other things on yourself that you may not see or notice, that you could potentially get infections from that person or give them infections in return. Scissors are more designed for cutting away cloth than skin, which is actually quite a misnomer. You shouldn't use these to cut skin because they're not very sharp and they'll hurt a lot. So the best thing to do if they do have cut skin is to leave it alone. But these are great for fabric. Usually when you get a wound, you're wearing clothes, something else, you need to cut it away from the wound and make sure the wound is completely clear so you can see everything and treat the wound as necessary. Tweezers are great for removing little bits of skin or mud or dirt that are in the wounds. Plastic tweezers are preferable compared to metal tweezers because metal tweezers get little scratches on them, which harbors bacteria and all kinds of nasty things. Plastic tweezers like these While they do get scratches, they're not bacteria homes because of the chemical properties within the tweezers, which keeps them sanitary and safe to use. These are cotton swabs on a